What's up, guys? This is your boy Josh Showtime, and it's Showtime's Fight Forum, where we do everything. We talk everything fights. All right, let's get to the nitty gritty. We are doing a prediction and breakdown on UFC 290. Now, my wife is already tiptoeing over here, so I feel like she's about to be annoying. So if she is, I'll just go ahead and let that happen. But before she steps in and be annoying, let me just go ahead and say my record is 17-7-1 right now for pay-per-view events for the UFC. So your boy has been killing it, okay? So I'm gonna do a breakdown. Make sure you follow, subscribe, and like. And if you win money from me, hit that cash app at Showtime Sanders, all right? Because a brother could use, $5, $10, $1,000, $2,000, $10,000, hey, whatever you're making. Make sure you just break bar off a little bit. All right, now what's up, boo? What you want?
I'm sorry I'm a little late to the party. I was out here getting ready for my fight coming up. Stay tuned.
Don't touch me. You in shower.
All I want to say is that Floyd, best ever, the GOAT. That's all.
All right, I had nothing to do with anything I had to say, but thanks, boo. I love you. Now let's go into it. Now this is definitely probably the best card so far this year at UFC 290, and I am hyped. Okay, so as always, like I said, if you want somebody to go ahead and hit my cash app real quick. Now I changed the rules up a little bit. Like I said, I was doing just the main card, and I mean honestly, I was kind of doing too good, so I was like, let's make it more challenging. Let's do one from the prelim as well. So we're gonna keep that same momentum going. So with this, there's honestly a bunch of good fights on the prelims. Like we have, Jack Della is coming back, even though his opponent dropped out. I was gonna pick his fight, but now that he has a last minute replacement, the guy I think is undefeated, but yet still, it's too unknown for me to just let's do a full breakdown and say who's gonna win. Jack is more than likely gonna win, but if he doesn't, it'll be a good fight for homie. But I'm not gonna do that. We gotta do the legend. The guy who made the most of his potential and his opportunity, and that is Robbie Lawler. This is his last fight ever, okay? And everybody is a big fan. How can you not love Robbie Lawler? How can you not love his story? Him, Charles Oliveira, and Brandon Moreno probably have the best MMA stories ever, for real, if you really want to break it down. Robbie Lawler, if you don't know his stories, because like I said, I ain't trying to wrap y'all up, but for the most part, let's just go ahead and break it down. He was in UFC. He got knocked out by Nick Diaz. Eventually got cut, then went to Strikeforce. It was a good fighter at Strikeforce, but once again, he could never, ever really break the precipice of being a champ. And then, eventually he makes it to the UFC. And in reality, UFC, when they bought Strikeforce and he came over, they knew he was an exciting fighter, but they kind of was using him as a gatekeeper. And I remember the fight with Josh Koscheck. People were pretty much just assuming this will be another fight to get Josh Koscheck back in the title contention. And he knocked the hell out of Koscheck. And that was just a new version of the killer we already knew. And he upped his game and eventually became world champion and had a bunch of title defenses. And it's a story that you honestly love because he seems like a really nice guy, really chill guy, but he's a killer inside. Very entertaining. And a guy who you didn't expect to be champion, but shocked everybody by becoming one. So happy for him, and I wish him a good fight. He's fighting Nico Price. Now, also, I've got to tell people, I'm under the weather. I am not feeling well. I actually got sick from the person that literally just walked in the camera. So, I'm not feeling the best. But yet still, if you hear me coughing or sounding weird, it's because I'm struggling to talk. All right. But we're going to make it through it. All right. Now, with Nico Price, he's a very game fighter. He likes to be on his feet. He likes to have slugfest. He likes to be fun. He's not a type of guy who, I don't know, in my opinion, he doesn't seem like a guy that really cares about being a title contender. He seems like a guy that wants to be a main eventer and put on great fights. That's really what I see Nico as. And what better dance partner to go out to than a Nico Price, to be realistic. So this fight should be action-packed. I think that Robbie, knowing this is his last hoorah, will go balls to the wall. And Nico, knowing that, and loves to be in that kind of fight, it's going to be probably the fight of the night, realistically. If it's not, I'll be shocked. If it's not, it's because it ended really early. Now, I can see both people winning this fight because Robbie isn't that active and he's not the same guy who he used to be. And let's be honest, people who have their retirement fights in the UFC normally get their tails beat. So there's not too many happy endings. Normally you get your lights knocked out. So how do I see this fight going? However, I'm actually still going to go with Robbie Lawler and think Robbie will get it done. I think Nico likes to engage a little bit too much, and the power difference between him and Robbie is still a little substantial to me. So I'm going to go TKO in the second round, Robbie Lawler, and you can book it. That's how I'm gonna go about that. And I do think that the footwork, I do think the quickness still leans a little bit towards Robbie. And Nick, I said Nick, I was gonna say Nico, he's a little predictable, a little slow, and he likes to get hit. So that's not a good recipe for a person that still punches hard like Robbie Lawler. Now, the first fight in the the first fight on the main card is gonna be Bo Nichols. Now, it's kind of unfortunate because Bo's going to get a real good test in Tresean Gore. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. I didn't like this fight. I ain't even going to lie. I'm wearing a black shirt. And you probably know, you didn't want it because the black guy was going, yes, because I knew I ain't going to say no, but Tresean was more likely going to lose this fight. And for a guy who has so much potential in the Ultimate Fighter, and I was really rooting for this dude. And he kind of seemed like, he's still got ways to go, especially after getting knocked out. But he bounced back, got a dub. But going straight to Bo Nichols, and it's a test for both because we don't know how good Bo is. We know he's good. We don't know how good. And Tresean is, once again, a guy who could be really good as well. They both are very unseasoned. So it made sense, but I hated it. So now that he's out, luckily for Gore, they're probably trying to rebook it later, but luckily for Gore, he's out. And now they're putting in an undefeated fighter by Woodburn. I've seen a few clips of him. Seems like a guy who's a powerful striker. And, he kind of wants to stand up. That really doesn't bode too well for a person like Bo because Bo is, we already know, one of the best wrestlers ever to compete in the UFC. And he's phenomenally talented. He's even decent in the stand-ups for what we've seen. We don't know how good yet. But I don't see this fight standing for too long. I think that for Woodburn to win this fight, uppercuts, knees, blasted. And I don't know what type of shot Bo can do because Bo doesn't need to really shoot. Bo can just body lock you and he can get you down. He can get you out so many different ways. He can put you against the cage and then it's a wrap. So we will see. But yet and still, I'm going first round submission, Bo Nichols. It's kind of hard for me not to pick that. And, if it's not, then, we got a hell of a way to start this event. So I'm down either way. So the second fight, it's a fight that's going to be a banger. And that's going to be Jalen Turner versus Dan Hooker. Now, these are both two tall, lanky, athletic lightweights. All right. They're tough fighters. They like to stand up. Both have, I can say both. Jalen has submissions. He's obviously submitted some people before. Dan is really just a kickboxer. He wants to honestly knock you out, kick you, and just put your life in hell. Now, with Dan Hooker is a phenomenal talent for New Zealand, but he had a rough patch. He doesn't have the best chin. I don't know if it's because maybe the way he cut. I don't know if it's just because his chin being in the air, which honestly, he doesn't have the best head movement. He is a walking target at times. And I'm not going to say he doesn't have power, but he's more of an accumulation to get the finish. Whereas he's been fighting guys who just can honestly knock your lights out with one punch or really hurt you with one punch. And now he's fighting another guy who really can't knock you out with one punch. Jalen Turner at 155 is different. He's not 170. I don't know how he makes 155, but he's shown that he is a different beast at that. Even his last fight that he lost, he still looked great. And he very well could have won that fight. That fight was extremely close. So, he's really close to getting a title shot, in my opinion, maybe 2 wins away. Obviously can't be one because he just lost. But 2 solid wins, I can see him vying for at least a number 1 contender fight. So, but Dan, he's still trying to get right on the ship. I don't see this being a favorable matchup for him. He's fighting somebody that's taller, somebody that's longer, and somebody that's more athletic, somebody that punches harder. It's hard for me to see Dan Hooker winning this fight. He's very technical, but I think Jalen will get the knockout. And I'm going to say it's going to be a first round KO by Jalen Turner. And yeah, it's going to be crazy. And here's the thing, and I'll say this for Dan. For Dan to win, he needs to be more active. Do not just sit around, stay outside the range. All right, you don't want to do that. Make it ugly, make it dirty. Try to make it like a Dustin Poirier. Just try to make some takedowns in. Like try to make it close, contested. Do not try to fight Storm far away, out of range. You're gonna get picked apart, and you will get caught, and you will get dropped. That's just my advice, but I'm not a trainer yet. So yeah, we'll talk about that another time. Now the third fight, Robert Whitaker. All right, I'm gonna say DDP because I know how to say his name, but it's just difficult. So I'm gonna say DDP, and I'm sick, so I ain't struggling. DDP versus Robert Whittaker. Realistically, I want DDP to win very badly. And the reason why is because I want Israel to knock his block off. Like, I want Izzy to hurt this dude. Like, I want him to beat the brakes off of him badly. Okay? Not to the point of like, oh, I want him to die. Like, I ain't on that kind of weird stuff. But I want him to get a bad enough beating that he just shut up about this Africa stuff. Because any of you MMA trolls that really try to support his ignorance about what he says about being African and a true African and this, that, and the third, you're just as ignorant and stupid. And I just don't like you. I don't even know you, but I don't like you. Okay? Just like in the words of Dave Chappelle, like, you know, I hate you and I hope all bad things life happen to you, nobody else but you. Like, I don't like people like you. That is a joke, but kind of not. Yet still, he is a good fighter. Let's just call it what it is. He is a good fighter. He's a person that you do have to worry about in certain aspects. Now, I don't think he's elite, though. And Robert Whittaker is just a fighter that will beat everybody but Israel. Like, Robert Whittaker is an issue. He would still be champion if it was not for Israel Adesanya. And let's keep it a stack. He beat Alex Pereira both times just because of his wrestling. Like, I don't see anybody else in 185 beating Robert Whittaker except for Israel Adesanya. So with this fight, I think it's going to be a unanimous decision by Robert Whittaker. I think the footwork is just going to be too crazy. DDP gasses out. He does not have good cardio. And for him to rely on his takedown, which he does way too often, he doesn't have good shot selection, in my opinion. And he will spam and go balls to the wall. You ain't going to do that versus Robert Whittaker. His wrestling is way too good. His takedown defense is way too good. And we already know his striking is as crisp as anybody in the division except for Israel Adesanya. This is a very bad matchup for DDP, and I hate that they booked this because I wanted Israel to do it. But Robert Whittaker will get the finish. It will get the win. I think it will be a unanimous decision. However, I wouldn't sleep on a knockout because, like I said, DDP gasses out. I can see Robert Whittaker taking advantage of it, hitting them with a switch kick or hitting them with some really good setup with a head kick and knocking them out, getting the finish in either first 3 rounds. But that's how I see that going. Now, let's get into the championship fights, y'all. All right, this is the co-main event of the evening, and this is a fight with an amazing storyline. Brandon Moreno versus Pereira. I said Pereira. That is Pantoja. I don't know why I said that. I'm sorry. Pantoja versus Moreno. Now, this fight is a fight that has an amazing storyline just for the simple fact that these guys fought twice. And the challenger has won both times. One at the Ultimate Fighter, then second, they fought in the actual UFC card. And the thing is, this is what got Brandon Moreno cut from the UFC. There's so much to this story that's actually amazing. So I cannot wait to see. It's a perfect fight to make fresh face, fresh guy, and a dangerous competitor. Like, Pantoja is a finisher. He is dangerous anywhere. Dangerous submissions, but he can knock you out. Like, good cardio. It's a tough fight for Brandon Moreno, and it makes sense on why he lost twice to the man. But I will say Brandon Moreno's completely different. He's a better fighter than he was the first time. Definitely the first time. And he's definitely the better fighter the second time they fought. So we will see a new fight, but this is going to be an action-packed fight. This fight's going to be extremely fun for both guys. These guys both are action-oriented, good chins. Both honestly have good ground games, good submissions, good freaking stand-up. Now, if we want to go levels of who's better at what, Pantoja's the better is the better grappler. And I will say right now, I will favor Brandon Moreno in the stand-up department. However, it's very close. Very close in the stand-up department. This is going to be a tough fight, man. Like, Moreno got to win. You're 0-2. And I know Pantoja's going to come in confident, but is he going to come in too confident? Because the second fight was kind of easy for him. Is he going to just go for the takedowns and just ride him out five rounds? Can he do that? Does he have the cardio for that? There's so many questions, so many aspects to this game that's going to be very, very difficult to really see until you actually see the fight. However, I love Brandon Moreno. I think Brandon Moreno is a great fighter. I will say that I think Pantoja will be able to get enough rounds under his belt to win this fight 3-2. And I think that how it will look with Pantoja will look good from the beginning. He will mix up his takedowns. And Brandon Moreno will get taken down. But the stand-up will be close. But I think the takedowns will be the deciding factor. But when it gets to the later rounds, Brandon Moreno will start to pick it on a little bit more than Pantoja. And he will start to steal rounds. I think it will be close. But I'm going to go with Pantoja and New 3-2. And if I'm wrong, I'll be happy because I love Brandon Moreno. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to go challenger for this fight. Now, the fight that we're all there for, the fight that's going to be freaking fuego, and I cannot wait, is Volkanovski versus freaking, Yair Rodriguez. I freaking cannot wait for this fight because we don't know what the heck is going to happen. Yair is by far the most unorthodox, crazy striker in the division. He can knock out anybody in this freaking division. The only reason why Max ain't getting knocked out is because he has one of the greatest chins ever. And I'll have to do a video on the greatest chins in MMA history. Max is top 2, top 3. But his kicks are crazy. They're so quick. There's no setup to it. No legit like loading up. You don't see it until it's in your forehead. And then they're so powerful. His strikes are so quick. I mean, he literally only has one hold, and that is his takedown offense. He's not good at taking takedown offense. He can take him. I can take him down. It's very easy. But he has great submissions. We saw that in the Josh Emmett fight. But I will say, Josh Emmett's a great fighter. Volkanovski is a different beast. If Volkanovski can get him to the ground, I don't see Yair getting taken. I don't see Yair getting submissions. What I see is Volkanovski getting takedowns, is Volkanovski beating the hell out of him. I think that Yair will threaten him, put him in danger multiple times, and he will wear himself out. And then you'll start to see Volk to pick it up a lot more, start to get really bad ground and pound. And it could honestly be an end via cuts or by just TKO stoppage of exhaustion or just by strikes. And that's where I'm leaning. I'm going to still lean the champ just because Volk has less holds in his games. But I would not be shocked at all if Yair shocks the world and knocks him out with the head kick because he's just that good. I would not be shocked at all. But I'm going to go champion. I'm going to go champ, not champ because he won the second belt. I'm going to go champ, Volkanovski, and still. And I think that the kicks, I think the takedowns, I think the unorthodox strikes, and also the angles that he picked will still be a little different for Yair to adjust to. I think that the game plan will be smart enough to get away from the dangerous strikes because you just don't know what Yair is coming with. Like I said, we've seen what he did to Korean Zombie. Like, we've seen it. He can elbow you, knee you, kick it. We don't know what he's going to do. No one knows. So you could try to prepare for it, but you just don't know. So I think that he's going to go the safe route, especially the first couple rounds, which is just go for takedowns. Don't even deal with this dude in the first 2 rounds standing up. It ain't where you want to be. No one, I don't think really anybody in that division really wants to be there because it's not going to end well. You got to take him down. Max turned into a wrestler. All right. So that's how I'm going to go. I'm just going to say Volk by either unanimous decision or it's going to be by TKO stoppage via ground and pound by the 3rd or 4th round. Now, like I said, you want to just go ahead and hit my Cash App and we'll talk about that another time. But as always, man, follow me on social media at Papa Showtime, Josh Showtime. And if you want to listen to me on the hip hop station, I'm on every Sunday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 98.3 The Real. And you can go on the iHeartRadio app to listen to your boy and also some hip hop. That's what we do out here. But as always, man, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure y'all stay blessed as always.